What's going on, everybody? Oh, it's Wednesday. Oh, so excited to be here with you guys. Do you guys know that it is episode 50? Did you know that it's episode 50 of the Ask StreamYard show? So this is actually the 50th time. I think that we literally missed 1 week in the last year. We literally went live every single week, every Wednesday, except for a couple days. We had to do a different day. And we're on episode 50, and it's been just about a year. It was April 14th was the first episode of Ask StreamYard. Kevin Colby did it. He actually kicked off the show. Used to do it, and he and I used to kind of alternate weeks. And he kicked off the Ask StreamYard show. So big shout out to Kevin Colby, who got us started with this show. And y'all loved it. So we kept going, and that's what we did. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But first, I got to say, what's up to everybody in the comments? We got all kinds of people here today. Hello, Samantha. I see you. Pip Todman, watching from the UK. We got Tish is here from the Artist Haven. She's here hanging out. She's listening while at work. Shh, don't tell anybody. And then we've got Be Bodacious is here as well. Jem Lawyer's here. Hello, everybody. Oh, it's so good to see everybody. So many names I already see. It's Kashini. Oh, wow. Already 50. Yeah. So it was kind of crazy. The year went fast, if you really think about it. So pretty excited about it. I'll be honest with you. Here's the deal. We started this show kind of just like we were looking for live content. We were looking for some ideas, and we really liked the idea of taking questions from the audience and answering them, and taking a show and turning it into a show. And so we were looking for questions. And so, like I said, Kevin Colby started the show. He did the first couple episodes, and then we started alternating week by week. And we used to just sit and look through the comments and just look for questions that you all were posting in our Facebook group or on Twitter or wherever. And we said, well, let's give this a shot. How often should we do it? And I remember we were talking, and it was like, how often should we do it? Should we do it every other week? Should we do it once a month? I said, no, we should do it every single week. And again, I'm going to talk a little bit about that today, about why that was what I wanted to do and what I wanted to try. But today we're actually going to be talking about, I thought episode 50, what a great way to kind of talk about. I mean, we've been doing this for a year, this particular show. Other than the town halls that Gage and Dan do every single Sunday night, it is the longest running, most consistent live show that StreamYard's put on. Now, StreamYard, of course, is a live streaming platform. So one of the reasons why we wanted to do that is we wanted to be creating live video regularly. But today we're going to be talking about how long does it take to get results. So I wanted to kind of go back in time a little bit and talk a little bit about, again, how we started the show, why we started it the way we did, and then, of course, where we are today and what we've learned and what we now know or what we think or how we feel about it, right? And so if you've been watching from the beginning, I want to know in the comments. And now I know some of you are newer to the show, newer to watching us, but I want to know if you remember when we kicked off this show and when we started doing the episodes. And I'll tell you a little bit about how we, again, I said that we go into the comments, we look in the group, we look for questions, because if you are asking the questions, then somebody else probably has the same question and therefore will probably want to know, they'll probably want to know as well the same question. Sorry, I noticed a little setting in here and I was like, is that new or am I just now noticing it? See, even a regular StreamYard user, a StreamYard partner, live stream mentor, sometimes I still see things that I don't notice all the time. So anyway, sorry. So we use Asana, which is a project management application. So any Asana users out there, let me know in the comments. But Asana is how we actually gather ideas, put things in there, and then we also will actually schedule out. We basically plan out the content. So, like for example, when Julie does one of her live streaming impact with live video shows, she puts it in Asana, it goes into this calendar, and that's how everybody knows kind of who she's going to have on the show and when that live stream is going to be. We sometimes have our partners do the same thing. So Roberto Blake or Nick Nimmin we've got Dee Nimmin and Daniel Batal, they do their show. We put their stuff in the calendar too. But the only one that doesn't go in there, to be honest with you, is the town hall, because Gage and Dan, we don't have to worry about them. And we just kind of know every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, they're going to be live. But in our project, we started using it to gather ideas. And essentially, so if Christian, for example, would see a good question in the group, he would go ahead and create a task in Asana and it would say Q and it would have a question. Or if there was an idea we had, for example, if I was like, oh man, I want to do a show about multiple cameras. Surely someone has asked about using multiple cameras. So then if we had that, we'd say idea using multiple cameras. And then we would kind of go and search the group and look for somebody who was asking the question. Now, I will be honest, I will tell you that we have not necessarily followed that exact same method. Sometimes the show is just something that we know you need to know about and we go live and we talk about it. Other times we have a specific question posted by a specific person and we feature that question. Monthly, we've started to do kind of an open Q&A. Like last week, I just kind of came live and we just did an open Q&A. So we have kind of leaned, we've given ourselves some flexibility. But when I go into Asana, I can go and I can look for ideas. I can say, okay, what am I going to do for the next few weeks? And the other thing that we can do is that it allows us to plan ahead. So for example, Christian can work with our designer and can get the thumbnail designed. We can work on the description ahead of time. So then when it's time for me to schedule the stream, then I can go and schedule the stream. So this is a really great idea. And the reason I'm sharing this on purpose because I want you all to know that part of being able to get momentum, to get results, is frequency and consistency. Those are two keys to live streaming success. And to be frequent, meaning weekly, or maybe some of you go live more than once a week. And then consistency, meaning the same day, same time every week. In order to do that and to do it without a lot of stress or angst, it's best to be able to plan. And if you're working with a team and you have other people that are helping you, then it's good to use a tool like Asana or Trello. I saw somebody post about Airtable, another one. That's another great application to use as well. So, Sorry, I saw something else. Yeah, so Tish says Asana is the bomba. Yeah, I totally agree. Pip Todman, Airtable. Tara with Ruby says, I recently stepped away from Asana to Trello. Yeah, so Trello is also fantastic. I actually use both. I like to use Trello when I'm just brainstorming because Trello is like just super fluid and you can just like, it's kind of like taking a stack of Post-it notes, writing stuff down, putting it on the wall. You don't even know how you want to organize your ideas yet. And then you can kind of rearrange them and move them around. You can totally do the same thing in Asana, but I do like using Trello when I am literally in brainstorm mode. But when I'm in project mode, then I like to use Asana. I just find that it's a little bit more project management, list-oriented, task-oriented. I just like it. Subtasks, all the things. All of which you can do with Trello. And of course, Airtable is also great. Airtable is more like a big spreadsheet. I've heard Monday.com is also a good one. I've never used that one though. But my point is, my main point here is that, literally in order to be frequent and consistent, you might need a system or a workflow. Now, that workflow could literally be a notebook where you're keeping all your ideas. So Geeks on Tour is making a great point here. They say, it's just the two of us. Asana was overkill for us. I agree. I think that's totally possible. For my own stuff, to be totally honest with you, I really don't use the tool. I might use the tool when I'm brain dumping, but when it comes to really getting my own stuff done, you know what I use? I use a good old trusty notebook because it's just me. I don't need to go into a tool, log into a tool. I like it, but it can be overkill. So you need to use a system that will work for you. And that may be an app, that may be a notebook, and maybe Post-it notes on the wall, right? So, yeah. Andrew Kahn says, also when starting to be consistent once a month at a certain time is enough. And as more people become aware, then add it. Yes, you can totally start with once a month. I used to recommend this to my students. I used to recommend this to the people that I used to coach. I used to say, to get started, start once a month. I used to say this way back in the day when I started my agency, when I had an agency, and okay, thank you. Andrew Can. Got it. I used to actually recommend to my clients to start blogging and to do one blog post a month, one email a month, one blog post a month. I'll be honest with you. You can start this way, as Andrew Can said. Did you see that? I just pulled like a Tom Buck. I'm trying to get comfortable. I can't get comfortable. I can't figure out how I want to sit in this chair. I will be honest with you. Yes, you can do once a month, but you will not get the momentum at the rate that you probably want. However, you can plan ahead. It's not going to be as laborious for you. And your audience, as long as you do the proper methods, can potentially show up. It's not going to be as hard. But if you can put in the effort, if you can do the work, and you can also accept that when you get started, you may not have a bunch of live viewers with you, and you can be okay with that, which you should be. If you can do that, then I actually recommend you start with at least twice a month and then quickly move to weekly. And there's a couple of reasons for this. But if that is just too overwhelming for you as you're kicking things off, then as Andrew said, start with once a month. But if you go once a month, you need to remember something. That's only 12 live videos in 1 year. 365 days, and you do 12 videos. That's it. 365 days in the year, 52 weeks, and you only are going to do 12 live videos. So when you really think about it that way, you're not really that's not a lot of content. That's not a lot of conversations you're having. Imagine if you were really, truly trying to build a network and grow, and somebody said, that was a really great coffee date. I loved catching up with you. Let's do this again. And you said, great, we can do that next month. But what if you only talk to your clients once a month? What if you only talk to that prospect once a month for 45 minutes? I mean, I'm just saying, I think you should strive to go more frequently. So as I mentioned, frequency, right? Frequency, 100%. And I, like Andrew, when I started, I was more once a month. I will be honest with you, not consistent. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit today, is that truly consistency is pretty important. And sometimes I ebb and flow with consistency. I have in the past. I've also gone on runs where I've been super consistent. My business schedule, my personal schedule allowed me to really, truly carve out a very consistent schedule when it came to my live streaming. And when I did that, and I started that at the end of 2020 in the fall, I started doing that. And I kept it up for 6-9 months, somewhere in there. And it massively grew my followers. I had the same people coming over and over again. I saw massive results. But when I ebb and flow, and when I kind of have these bouts of can't be consistent because of personal schedules or business schedules or projects that make me travel and do certain things, I find that my numbers are not as strong. My live viewers there's not as many there, or the engagement's not quite there, or it's a whole different slew of people that show up. And I will tell you that I see these numbers get affected in my overall bottom line, right? And so consistency is really important. I've seen other streamers where, I'm a follower and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Wait, I thought they were usually live on Tuesdays at this time. Oh wait, where are they? And it sort of throws things off. And I always use the analogy of, it's like watching your favorite show. You know when it comes out. You know the day of the week it comes out. You know the time it comes out. You're going to show up and watch that show because you're tuning in and you're excited about it. And if you miss it, you know you missed it because you know exactly what time it was and when it was, and you're going to go watch the replay. And it's live video is very similar. Videos are very similar, and you want people to be there live. And so that consistency is a massive, massive, massive piece. So let me check in on the comments because everybody's, yes. And it's Kashini says consistency applies to videos on demand as well. Videos on demand are essentially those pre-recorded videos that you create, a 8-minute, 10-minute, 30-minute tutorial, whatever your channel's about, the pre-recorded videos. Your channel will definitely be more successful if you have a blend of pre-recorded videos, video on demand, and live videos. That is definitely something that you want to do. Gigs on Twitch says we started once a week, same time every week. Now we do 2 a month, same time. There you go. And so that's the other thing. You might find that you can't keep up with once a week. If that's the case, then you got to do what you got to do. I always say, take everything I say, take everything any expert says as a suggestion, as a good, educated, skilled suggestion, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it that exact way. Doesn't mean that you absolutely can do it that way, right? Can do it that way. One of our Facebook group users says, showing frequency with preparing good content for our audience. Yeah. So the other thing too is that you 100% need to be able to provide good content and quality preparation. So if weekly is, again, if that preparation is too much and you start finding that you're schlepping or getting lazy with how you deliver your content or what you deliver, then maybe it's time to scale back. Because at that point, you need to look at it as quality over quantity. Okay. So frequency has a lot of areas that you need to focus on. So, all right. So I wanted to check in and, Unseen Universe says, I stream twice a day now. It's tough sometimes, but my viewers are now starting to grow slowly but surely, but great that my regulars are getting to know my schedule now. That's awesome. So you can go, again, this is all going to depend on your business, your channel, your, whatever your goals are, right? And all of that's going to be important to focus on here. Here's another one. Comic Talk with Pops Van Zant. Monday Madness, Tuesday Morning Brew, and Madness Open Draw Stream are weekly. CromCon is a monthly event. I have never missed a show. So there you go. You can also do a blend. So I like that. So for example, Julie Riley here at StreamYard, she does Impact with live video. She does it once a month. Okay. Now she's done, I think, twice a month before. She's taken a break from it. And that because, just due to just busyness, but now she's once a month, and that's what's going to work for her. And that's what's going to work for the audience too. So that's what the StreamYard team has decided on. That's what she's decided on. So that's once a month. This show's weekly. Now, again, we went back and forth in the beginning. What do we want to do here? Do we want to do it weekly? Do we want to do it bi-weekly? And so when Kevin used to do the show with us, we had 2 people that could do the show. It was kind of like, that's not too bad. That's only asking Melanie to do 2 shows a month and Kevin to do 2 shows a month. And then when Kevin needed to move on from doing the show to focus on his own channel and stuff, we were like, ooh, do we still do 4 shows a month? Mel, can you do that? And I was like, yes, I can, because here's the deal. I was seeing this success, and I actually believe that this show should be weekly. There's enough questions out there. There's enough content that we can do this show once a week, once a week, which is 52 shows a year, or 51 if you miss a week, because you go to Social Media Marketing World, and the whole entire marketing team is there. So there you go. Lydia Pimentel Medeiros Macedo. I believe I've totally butchered that, but we're going to go with Lydia. Lydia says, can you start with 2 videos a week? I'm just not consistent on Facebook. Yeah, you can start with whatever you want. I think that Andrew Can made a good point though. If you're getting started, if your audience is still, relatively small, 2 videos a week might be a bit much. It might be hard for you, but if you have enough content and there's enough going on and you can do it, give it a try. See how it works. But here's the deal. One of the things I wanted to talk about, and one of the things I wanted to point out here, because this is a really, really, really important thing. Sorry, I wanted to pull this comment up from Sebastian. He says, totally agree. Consistent and frequent go hand in hand. Maintain your life balance, but be visible often enough to not be out of sight, out of mind. I totally agree. And I really do believe once a week is good. Twice a month, it would be the next suggestion. If you absolutely cannot do twice a month, then monthly, or maybe a monthly show and then some pop-up shows here and there. But I really think that once a month can be really challenging, unless you are doing like what Kashini said and said you're providing a lot of other content regularly. So that's another thing I wanted to point out here. So your live videos can be a primary aspect of your content. But if you're putting out videos all the time, then you may not go live as often. Once a month is fine. You might do a monthly live Q&A, but every single week you're putting out other videos. Okay? That's a whole other thing to think about as well. But if live video is your primary form of content, you're going to need to do it more frequently, more like weekly. So that's another thing to consider. So if you are just now joining us, we are actually celebrating our 50th episode of Ask StreamYard. Our very first episode for the show was out April 14th of last year. Kevin Colby did the first show, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since. Every week except for, I think, 1 week. I think we missed 1 week where we were not able to go live. I was actually in California. I was planning to go live that day, and we didn't have good internet. And so I just said, it's okay. We just won't do Ask StreamYard this week. It's just not in the cards. We were still live that week from Social Media Marketing World, but we did not do the Ask StreamYard show. So episode 50 is where we are today. And what I wanted to talk about today is I wanted to talk about how long it takes to get results from live video. StreamYard's been obviously around for a long time, been going live for a long time. And truly, it's one of those things where I work with people in my program or when I coach them, and I find something that happens a lot. And I wanted to talk about it today because I felt like, hey, we've been doing the show for a year. It's pretty good timing to talk about this. How long does it take to get results? And there are a number of factors that are going to contribute to whether you get results or not, right? So I could probably stream for 3 hours today and do a full intensive workshop, right, on it. But we're not doing that. That's not really what the show is for. But I did want to make sure that we talk about expectations, because I find very often, very, very often, that people give up too soon. It happens. Maybe you've done it. Maybe you've ebbed and flowed. Maybe you dabbled in live video, and then now you're sitting here and you're like, oh man, I haven't gone live in like 6 months. Maybe that's you. And if it is, that's okay. But here's the deal. It does take time. You're not going to start going live and then all of a sudden get these massive results. Your audience isn't going to just blow up overnight. It just doesn't work that way. And quite frankly, not very many marketing methods work that way. Now, I know that there's a lot in the world right now, people talking a lot about viral video. There's a lot of that going around, especially with TikTok and Reels and other things. It's really one of those things that I want you to be very careful about those flashy, trends. Here's the thing about trends. They come and they go, right? The other thing is that flashy, quick results like that do not necessarily speak to the bottom line, okay? So you might create some viral videos. Well, what are you going to do with those? What does that mean? How does that contribute to your business? Is it even the right audience? Are you even creating videos that have anything to do with what your channel's about or what your business is about, right? Or are you just being funny? So it's one of those things I want you to be very careful about. Yes, Andrew is dropping the knowledge bombs today. Viral doesn't equal quality audience. And this is a really, really key thing right now, is that you can go create these funny videos or whatnot, but does it really have anything to do with you and your content, your main content, right? And so it's really one of those things that you got to focus on. Okay. This is great. I love this. Heroes World Online says, I'd rather have 100 quality followers than go viral. So it's really, really, really key. Joanne is here today. She says, so important to be strategic. Tim says, I don't worry about numbers. I just worry about putting out quality content and let people know I live in advance, then hope people join in. You let them know you're going live in advance. I got you. I also like to get guests in the chat. Yes, 100%. So I see some questions coming in, so I'm going to put those in the queue. If you have support questions, I see a couple questions about translation and things like that. If you have those types of questions, what I want you to do, you don't need to keep posting the question. I see it. It just isn't really what our show is about. And so what I want you to do is I want you to reach out to and send a message to StreamYard. I'll go to our contact page. So you go to StreamYard/contact. Ask your support questions, your feature requests. Please put those over in that form. That will get it into the right method. I can't help you with some of the things when it comes to support and things in it. So the best thing for you to do is to head on over there and put your question in there for that. So it's definitely one of those things that we need to do. So I am going to answer some questions, but I 100% wanted to go through a few tips that I have for everybody, because again, we're talking about getting results. Right? We're talking about how long does it take to get results. So you start going live. When can you start to expect your audience to grow, more people to show up live, more people to engage with your lives, right? When can you expect that? And so the deal is this, it's going to take some time. And what I want you to understand is that if you start out with a small audience, it's probably going to take a little longer. If you already have a large audience because you've been you've been uploading videos, you have a huge Facebook group that's like really awesome and really engaged. You already have a great email list. They're just, you've been emailing consistently. If you already have an engaged audience, then when you start going live, those results are probably going to come in a little sooner. Okay. But if you are just starting out, just like with anything, it is going to take time. But there are certainly some things that we can do to make that go faster. So that's what I wanted to talk to you all about today. I'm going to share some of those tips with you. But if you have a question in regards to this or the things I say, put a Q in front of it in the comments, and I will definitely talk to you about that. So the first thing we already kind of talked about, and I was saying, is go live, go be consistent and go live weekly. This is my suggestion. We talked about this already. The frequency and the consistency is a really big key when it comes to growing that audience and definitely, getting the results that you want when it comes to people coming back for more. That's another thing as well. Hugh says, I'm starting a new job next week and would love some confetti. Hugh, you've been around before for sure, so you definitely get some confetti. Everyone, shout out to Hugh. Here's your confetti for sure. So that was fun. I like it. Okay, so the other thing is that, so it's Kashini says, I do VODs mostly and been thinking about doing a live stream monthly in the travel niche. Yes, I like that. I really do like that actually, because as I mentioned, if you're already creating content, you don't have to go live weekly necessarily. So let's make sure we're clear on that. But definitely have a consistent schedule so that your audience knows. And the reason why consistency is really key is because, as I said, people will know. They'll know. I used to be super inconsistent a long time ago. I wasn't even going live weekly. It was like I just kind of went live when I felt like it or when I had something I wanted to talk about, whatever, right? So it was like, it'd be just so random. And my audience used to kind of say, hey, when are you going live this week? Are you going live this week? And I was like, oh, I wasn't planning on it, but I guess I can, or I wouldn't. And then when I started going live weekly and consistently the same day, same time, they actually started giving me feedback. They started saying, oh, it's so easy now. I love it. Now I block it out on my calendar. You are reaching your audience and building relationships when they start blocking time out on their calendar to show up to your consistent show. So that's actually like a huge goal that you should have. But let's keep moving. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, especially as you are getting started, another really good tip to getting to I don't want to say fast tracking the momentum. I don't want to say fast tracking. I think that's kind of a misleading word, because fast tracking sounds like, oh, we're gonna just be overnight success. No, I'm just simply saying speeding up you're speeding up the progress, speeding up your momentum, right? When you use other platforms and communication methods to let your audience know about your live videos, you can drive traffic to them. And so what I mean by this is If you're going live on Friday, then go pop over on Instagram, do a quick live or do a quick reel or whatever, and let your audience know about it. Do a story, let them know about it, right? Do a behind the scenes over on another platform right before you go live and say, I'm getting ready to go live in about 10 minutes. Super excited about it. Make sure you join me over on YouTube, right? Don't be afraid to use the other platforms, especially the ones that you're not necessarily live streaming to. Now, if you're live streaming to Facebook and YouTube at the same time and maybe LinkedIn at the same time, you could totally do the same thing. But, just make sure that when you describe it, if you're on Facebook and you're doing it behind the scenes on Facebook, then let them know where you want them to tune in. Now, the other thing you can do is you can email your list. If you have an email list, which I hope you do, then you can send an e-blast out and say, hey, this week, here's what's going on this week. Give them what you're talking about, let them know about a video on demand you did or whatever, and then absolutely let them know to tune in Friday to your live Q&A and put the link in there. Because when you pre-schedule your live videos with StreamYard, as I recommend you all do, then you can get those links and you can put the link right in your email list so that they can, see that. They'll click the link and then they can say, get notified. And that way they know when you're live, right? And they'll get the notification when you go live. These are methods to drive traffic. One of the things that I find often is that, people will create their live videos and they go live and they're like, no one's showing up. Nobody's showing up live. I've been doing it consistently for a long time. My first question that I always ask is, how are you promoting your live? How are you communicating outside of the live video about what you do? Because this is the other thing I will say. Live video cannot be the only tool you use to market yourself. You should be using other platforms. You should be using other types of posts. You should be using email marketing to continue to market yourself, okay? Live video can be great, but as you're getting started, you definitely want to be using those other methods. It's going to help you be more successful much quicker. So, Hugh, great question about how do you build an email list? I'll be honest with you, lots of ways. You got to have lead magnets. There's a lot to it. We definitely cannot get into that in this show. Holy cow, that would be craziness. A lot of places. Let's see. I want to see my questions here really fast. Okay, keep it simple. Astronomy says, I like to stream once a week, but I depend on whether I can schedule in the same day or in advance and cancel if weather is bad. What do you think is a better strategy? Great streams, yours, by the way. Okay, this is interesting. So I'm assuming you're outside. If the weather, or maybe you're doing using a telescope of some sort, a digital telescope. So this is something else that's really interesting is, if there are constraints to your live videos, meaning maybe it has to be weather permitting. Then in order to stay consistent, the weather has to be consistent, which we all know is not, especially if you live in Indiana, like I do. So I would say always have a plan B if that's the case. So you definitely want to have an ability to have something consistent. And if it depends on the weather, then what is your backup plan? Can you still go live and talk about something else, right? I would definitely suggest that. And then the other thing I'll say back to this whole consistency, same day, same week thing is, do not be afraid to be spontaneous either. You can absolutely do what I call pop-up streams, meaning they weren't really planned. Something timely just happened. Something exciting just happened. Go live. Don't be afraid to go live. Don't sit there and say, oh, but I go live on Tuesdays. No. If it's Thursday and there's something you have to share, go live. I will tell you right now, the pop-up streams will still be successful. In fact, when you're regular all the time and all of a sudden you have a pop-up stream, people see it. They're like, wait, whoa, this isn't Tuesday. That it actually draws more attention. And so you may actually find that you will build success by having the consistent core schedule as well as those pop-up streams. So that would be my suggestion for sure. Hugh says, is pre-recorded more important than live or vice versa? Great question. And I really think that they go hand in hand really well with the right strategy. However, here's what I'll say. Live video is great for having conversations, building relationships. And the reason is because we are live. We're here, right? We're here in the moment. I see a lot of people. I see there's the same faces. I see the same names. I actually can kind of get to know you, right? I can get to know you. Andrew Can is here. He's been here many times. Robin Venata is here. She's been here many times. Robin's egg Robin's Blue Egg Creations is her YouTube channel, but she's hanging out with us on Facebook today. But I know her channel because she comes back again and again. That's because of the live videos. We're building relationships. Now, if you have a video on demand, a pre-recorded video that you do, you might do a tutorial about something and you upload it to your channel, and Robin might watch that might watch that video. Andrew might watch that video. Kamal Tech Vlog might watch that video. Hugh might watch that video. People that come over and over. Joanne Benko, right? Like, I'm not even looking at names right now. I saw a couple, but Rachel, yes. So they're going to see that video and they might comment on it, but it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel the same. It's kind of like sending somebody a letter and then you wait and then they send you a letter back. But when we're here and I can say your name out loud and we can talk, and then I can build a relationship with you. So that's the purpose of live video. That's why I like live video, right? Is because I'm building a relationship. I'm literally getting to say, that's a great question. Can you actually clarify that for me? Which has happened before, right? That's happened many times. So the videos on demand, though, are equally awesome because when somebody's doing research, and YouTube is a search engine, okay? It is owned by the #1 search engine in the world, Google. It is also a search engine. People are doing research and they can find your video. And if your video is a 90-minute live stream on how to design overlays with Canva, and then there's somebody right next to that that's how to design overlays in Canva, and it's like 7 minutes, which video do you think they're going to click on? Which video do you think they're going to click on? The one that's punchy, to the point, gets them in and out. Now they know how to design an overlay. However, some people do it. They may click on your live. That happens. I have plenty of those. But the videos on demand are great for the new audience members finding you. And getting your education out there, teaching people how to do something quick and punchy to the point. And then live videos are how you build relationships in between those videos. That's how I feel about it. And that's what I love, right? That's what I love about it. So it's definitely something that it's a great question. And sorry, it was a little bit of a complicated answer. Oh, Melody's here. Melody, I haven't seen you in forever. I hope that you are doing well. Again, I know names and faces when they pop up in the comments because of live videos, not because they commented on one of my other pre-recorded videos. I build the relationships with people online through the live videos. That's where it happens. That is where the magic happens when it comes to that. And Rachel is agreeing. She says, I prefer live for building relationships. Yes. And I think a lot of you are actually agreeing with this for sure. So let's see. See, it's Kashini. I've been watching videos about editing. Yes. I feel you. I feel you. Okay. Let me, this is really good. Intentional says many live streamers do not acknowledge their audience live. That, in our opinion, is a big gap in building loyalty. Take a moment at least twice in every stream of 30 minutes to acknowledge your viewers. I couldn't agree more. And I do often see people stream and they don't address their audience. They just kind of go on, they deliver their content, and they'll say, put in the comments how you feel about XYZ. And then literally they don't even look at the comments. I see that a lot, and it's okay if you're doing a webinar, but honestly, you're going to find better results when you acknowledge your audience. And live video is really essentially built for that. So I love that. Joanne Benko says, it's almost like live is for fun, but on demand is more for a focused demo. Yes, that can absolutely be your strategy. 100%. I totally agree. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I see. I'm just getting some questions in here real quick. Okay, let me actually get to a couple questions. I understand. Sebastian says there's nothing more disappointing to a viewer when they are asked to comment, but there's no zero acknowledgement. I hear you. The challenge is that as you grow your channel and you have 100 people tuning in live sometimes or even more, you can't address every single comment. And if you do, it's probably not going to be a very quality stream for your viewers, unless you're just doing some crazy fun thing. So, okay, let me find some of these questions here really quick. Okay, Kamal Tech Vlog says, hi Mel, I'm changing from weekly uploads to fortnight upload as I'm busy with work. How can I transition? Okay, so as far as uploads, Kamal Tech Vlog, if you want to be, that's okay. Then just make the transition. If you're doing uploads and you need to go from weekly to twice a month, meaning every 14 days, which is what fortnight means. I was excited to know that, just in my mind. If that's going to be you, if that's the case, then what I want you to do is just do it. I don't want you to worry about it. If you got to go twice, you can make a community post if you want on your channel. But just if you've got to change it up, then change it up. Maybe you can do a quick live video and say, hey, I got some quick news, couple changes to the channel coming. Tune in with me on Monday night. I'll let you know what's going on. Have a quick check-in with your audience. Let them know, hey, these cool things are happening. Here's what I'm going to be changing some things up. The other option you have is if you want to stick with once a week, then you might just want to look at your system. How can you batch your content better? Maybe you don't create as long, maybe the videos aren't as long. I find often that a lot of people, when they're struggling with keeping consistent with certain types of content, I will look at it and I'll say, ooh, my camera just went kind of blurry. I'll look at what they're doing and I'm like, well, does every blog post have to be a 4,000 word blog post? What can we make that blog post 3 blog posts? Can we take your videos? Do they have to be 25 minutes? Can we make them 9 minutes? You know? And so I always also look at how can you scale some things back? Try that, see how it works, see what happens, and then keep going. So it's a good question though. And if anyone has suggestions for Kamal, put them in the comments. Okay, so Kristen says, how do you build your stream when you have a niche market that you are targeting? Should you change your streaming time to match when your audience might be available? So I will tell you that when it comes to a niche market, yes, if you're, for example, I used to use this example. If you're marketing to teachers, I would not suggest you go live at 11 a.m. during the day because the teachers are working, right? At least we hope they are. So you do sometimes need to be thoughtful about your audience. However, I also find that in many markets that, especially if you're international, because, 11 a.m. your time isn't 11 a.m. in a 6-hour time zone difference. And so, to be honest with you, I often find that people overthink the time of day because you can overthink the time of day. First, you got to do what you can do, what works for you, right? And then the other thing is that most markets, most niche markets, there are definitely exceptions. The timing really doesn't matter. It doesn't have a huge factor. Now, the day of the week might matter, meaning a weekend versus a weekday. That could definitely matter, right? So if you're marketing to teachers, you might want to consider doing your live videos on Sundays because they're during the week. Maybe you can't catch them. So, but you have to dabble, try some things out and see what happens. The other thing is if you have an engaged community, whether, they are in a Facebook group or on a Discord channel, Andrew brought up Discord earlier. Maybe you've got one of those, ask them what they prefer. Do a poll. I did this with my audience and I've done it probably 3 times in the last 3 or 4 years. And every single time I do it, pretty much the dominant result is it doesn't matter. We don't care what time of day. We don't have a preference for the day. We just want it to be consistent. That's what they always say every single time. Let's see. Okay, so Supreme Gecko says, can you talk about how to promote the live stream, where to post, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and when before the live, 1 day, hour, or even after? So yeah, this is a great question. So I definitely think that if you can schedule your live, 100% schedule it, then you should be promoting it, as I mentioned earlier. So I did mention earlier, I said you need to be using other platforms to drive traffic. Now, timing of all this is going to matter. So I actually like live streams. If your regular live streams, I definitely think that you should schedule those in advance and go ahead and schedule them anywhere from, honestly, 3 days to 7 days out, truly. I do not like it when you have a weekly show and if I go to your YouTube channel, I can see like 3 weekly shows right there. It can be a little bit much. It can feel a little bit intense for your audience. Some people do it and it works. But personally, I say do your live show. And as soon as your live show is done, go schedule next week's show. But if you're, if you have a guest or it's a special event, you might want to promote it even earlier because you want to just really drum that up and give your guest the chance to promote it as well. So it kind of depends on the content and certain things. However, I also do like the question or do like the concept of you posting to the other channels, like you mentioned, TikTok, Instagram, but think of those as little commercials, right? Think of those as little like snippets. Hey, this Friday, I'm going to be talking with, Julie Riley, and we're going to be talking about community building over on the channel. If you have questions, put them in my DMs. I'll get them queued up for you. We'll get you, but tune in live. Make sure you come hang out with us and, post your questions in the comments. We'll be talking with you. Like, do it like a commercial. That's how you drive traffic. So good question. I hope that answered your question. Gary says, do you know the age demographics where they're spending their time? So I do not have those numbers ready, but there are certainly some demographics out there, some reports that say the average age, the number of people in the age groups, where they are, where they are on, the ages on Facebook versus YouTube versus whatever. It also is going to depend on your channel. So look at your own analytics. Almost all the platforms provide analytics for you about who's watching your stuff, right? For example, over on my Facebook, it's mostly women. Over on my YouTube, it's mostly men. It just is. It's funny because when I think about who's commenting, I'm like, I feel like there's more women commenting on my stuff than men. But YouTube shows me that there are more men tuned into my channel than women. Facebook, it's the opposite. So it's definitely one of those things. Yeah, Geeks on Tour says YouTube has great analytics. They absolutely do. Answer the Public also is a great resource for getting video ideas. That is actually a really good resource that I've heard brought up multiple times for sure. Let me see if I have any more questions. I want to see if I had any more. So Tim says, StreamYard will only let you schedule a week in advance. That is actually only true for Facebook. YouTube, you can schedule further out. LinkedIn, you can schedule further out. I don't know what it is for Twitch, but that is a Facebook limitation. That's not a StreamYard limitation. StreamYard can schedule out as far in advance as the platforms will allow. So it just depends on the platform itself. Let's see here. Okay, so this is an interesting concept too. So Jim Lawyer says, we go live weekly and struggle with consistent time due to worldwide guests. So yeah, they have guests from all over the world. So that is something that you may run into as well. And if that is the case, it all comes down to what can your audience consistently expect? And if they should consistently expect that the times might be different, then make sure that you are giving them a way to know what the time is going to be. So if you're consistently inconsistent, then your audience is going to become accustomed to that. But you have to give them methods and tools to get informed about when that week's or that month's show is going to be. So tell them to subscribe to your email list. Say every Monday we will send you the schedule, or tell them to tune into your community tab. You will post about it in there. Like, find ways to let them know what it's going to be. If you are consistently inconsistent due to those constraints, then you have to find a way to communicate what the schedule is. You can't just rely on, we're just going to schedule it and expect them to come. So use those methods I talked about where you are, using Instagram, wherever else they might be hanging out, to let them know what's going on. For sure. That's my suggestion when it comes to that. Okay, I wanted to see. I thought this was a question. Sebastian, you're funny. How do we clone Meanie Dyann Howe to be our co-host for everyone's show? Hey, I mean, I don't know if it's kind of what I dig. If I'm jamming about and what I loved about, then reach out. You never know. It's so funny. Oh my gosh, that was cute. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is interesting. So I love what you did here. So Real Tom football watch-alongs. I stream football from the UK, so soccer. I'm assuming soccer. I stream very frequently, and one thing my viewers always beg for is an on-screen clock. How can I add this feature to my overlay easily? So, okay, this is going to depend. If you are trying to stream a clock that you have a camera on, that would be one method. If you are trying to stream a clock, like if you're restreaming something that's already digitally produced and you're trying to restream that clock, that's a lot trickier. But if you are actually doing if you are truly streaming the game, if you can find a way to add another camera, It could be a cell phone. It could be another laptop. It could be just depending on how close you are to the clock. You can put another camera on the clock, and it wouldn't be an overlay, but down at the bottom, as long as you're on the professional plan of StreamYard, where you go to share your screen, when you click share, you will see something that says extra camera. And when you have that extra camera, you can absolutely add it. I'll do that right now. You can add it. It's not going to be the right angle because I didn't dial it in before the stream. You can add a second camera to your stream, and you have all the views that you normally have when you have a guest on screen with you. So the option you would probably want would be this one right here. So this out here to the right of your what you're seeing on screen here could be the clock. And if you wanted to even go back and forth and say, all right, there's how much time is left, then you could go to that camera, and then you could go back to this layout once again. So, and then you can have this layout. You can go full screen to the game, back to the clock layout as well. So that's what you'd want to do. That would be how I would recommend you do it. Now, if you're doing something digitally, that's a whole different ballgame that was going to require probably a screen share and some other stuff. But yeah, it's okay. I was happy to answer that fun question. All right, let me see. Okay, I think I see. Yeah, this is great. So Andrew Can says, what's something that you learned in 50 episodes that you wish you knew earlier? Ooh, that is a good one. To be honest with you, I think that what we learned, I'll tell you this. I don't know that I feel that I wish I learned some things earlier. So to say, I wish that there's a couple things that we did that we started to do. Here's what we learned. I'll just say this. We learned that having a good thumbnail that is focused on the replay is key. We learned that the thumbnail doesn't necessarily matter so much for live viewers, but having a really good thumbnail helps with replays because of just the way it shows up in the feed and stuff. So we definitely, sometimes we don't get a thumbnail designed before I schedule it, but pretty much it usually gets updated after the fact. We did find that. I have definitely discovered that doing other things like having this pop up so that I can reset the room, which we did an entire episode on resetting the room, helps break things up. It definitely helps when it comes to like giving me a little break from looking at the camera. It helps the viewers see something different. Let me take this other camera out of here. It helps the viewers see something different. And that adds a little extra flair to the video or to the stream. The other thing I learned is that a lot of the stuff that we talk about in the show sometimes requires a demonstration of something inside the StreamYard studio. I definitely find that trying to pre-plan that and do a quick little screen recording and then upload that into the video clips of StreamYard and doing it that way is much, much easier for me and also better for the audience because we don't run into the inception thing. It's not as clunky. I can literally just plan it and do it ahead of time like this. All right, now I'm going to show you how to add an extra camera in your StreamYard studio. Now, again, you do have to be on a professional. Yeah, so that would be an example. So when we did the episode about using that new feature, I pre-recorded it because I knew I was going to need to demo it. And that I definitely found that the audience liked it. Plus, you know, it gave me a little break from the camera. The other thing that we have learned is that the more we did it, the more frequently, like as we went on week by week by week by week, we had more people showing up live. We had the replays were performing even better. So if you go to the old videos, the numbers are better when we get further along, which kind of goes back to, one of the things I was going to say is that momentum really, you can't expect overnight results. And we couldn't even expect overnight results when it came to this particular show. The other thing, Andrew, that we learned is that y'all like the longer shows. So, we tried with 30-minute shows. We tried 40-minute shows. We were like, literally, we would answer the question, take a few live questions, and we'd be like, all right, well, we're at 30 minutes, so we're done. I found that a lot of times after 45 minutes, there were way more people. Right now, there are a lot more people we're almost 55 minutes into this stream, and there are 84 people tuned in live, which honestly, for a while, our numbers were at like 130. 84 people are live. About 20 minutes ago, there were only like 60 some people here. So as you can see, even an hour in, there are more people here. Now, I will say this too. It depends on the topic. So if it's a topic and people want to be there, they will stick around, they will stay. But people are going to be coming into your stream, but are you keeping them in the stream? And I will be honest, in this particular show, we have found that 30 minutes, we were just getting warmed up. And so we went ahead and started doing them longer. I was like, I can go longer. So I started going longer. We definitely learned that as well. Another thing that we learned, Andrew, I didn't mean to pull his comment down, is that the title matters and the description matters. So if we can put some focus behind the title and the description, do a little bit of keyword research, a little bit of SEO research, it also helps as well. That helps the video perform from a replay standpoint as well. So we definitely learned that. Another thing that we learned is that whenever we do the live Q&A, we get a lot of people that show up. We get a lot of live viewers, and those shows typically go really long. They go sometimes 2 hours. I think the first time Christian and I did it, when we did it together, I think we did it for like 3 hours. So we're learning a lot about the audience. We're learning a lot about this particular show. But we have definitely been just evolving as we go and making it work. So yeah, those are a few of the things that we learned. But I will tell you that, you know, it took a while for the show to take off, if you will, right? It took a while for the show to take off. And so that kind of goes back to even StreamYard, who we have a ton of followers, very engaged community. It even took a while for this particular live show to take off. So that was definitely interesting. Okay, let me see if we have any more questions related. I got to go back into the, let's see here. I see a few weird comments that have nothing to do with what we're talking about. So I'm trying to make sure we don't have any issues here, right? That's also a good suggestion from Hugh Anthony Riley. Use your YouTube About section to post the schedule. You can do that. I've actually seen a lot of people do that as well. Or they'll change their cover photo as well. Let me see. Okay. Question. What do you do differently now as opposed to the very first show? Okay. One thing we definitely learned is that, I will say this, the show started out and we didn't really even have branding around it. We didn't really have like, we had a color, purple. But overall, we were just sort of like, Kevin and I were just kind of whipping up graphics. Kevin started to change the graphics a little bit, and I was like, ooh, that's working really well. So we created a logo for the show. That's different. Our thumbnails, one of the things that I pushed heavily in the beginning was that the thumbnails, no matter what, always have a photo. So for example, this photo, there's this one, and then there's this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, right? Now this one has my face on it. I personally pushed hard for our thumbnails for each show to have the face of who was going to be in the show. Now, that is not always possible. Sometimes things happen and you just need to kind of use one of these because maybe you don't know yet or something changed. But I definitely found having a face in the thumbnail, it absolutely has a bigger impact. That is definitely something that we did not do at first that we now do for sure. As I mentioned, we will do these graphics in between. So when I reset the room, I just have this little animated little video that kind of plays. There's no audio on the video, so it doesn't mute my microphone. And then I just made that in Canva. That is definitely something different. Another thing that is different that we do is we don't always feature an audience question. So sometimes, for example, there might be a new feature that comes out, or there might be something we need to talk about, and we know people have questions about it, but we don't necessarily have a specific user posted question. We will still do the show. We used to always require a question be asked, right? That is definitely something else that we do different. I was thinking there was something else. Oh, something else we've started to do now. Okay, hold on. I'm looking. I think I got the spammer. So Oh, they're back. Jeez. Okay, got that one. Okay. I'm going to keep my eyes on the spammers. So here's the deal. So I lost what I was going to say. The spammer got me. Dang, my camera keeps being weird. What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Yes. Another thing is face is good, but strong emotion too is a winning combo. I would agree. We see a lot of those for sure. I had another comment. I was going to say something else. It was about, what do we do different? Shoot. I don't remember. Do you have a producer in the background helping you run your show? No. And today I kind of wish I did. No. I have had Christian help me in the very beginning. Sometimes I would have Christian backstage helping me out. In fact, there were a couple times I had him come up and pop up in with me. But no, I really don't have a producer backstage for these shows. I don't. But I definitely have thought about seeing if StreamYard can do that and provide one for me. But honestly, so far it's usually okay. Sometimes I wish I could have that. I know you're all trying to help me out with what was I getting ready to talk about? I know what I was talking about. I had another point. I forgot what it was. I don't know. Yeah. Comment moderators. We need to do that, don't we? If anyone is interested in being a volunteer moderator for StreamYard, I want you to email marketing@streamyard.com and say that Melanie said, email you if I'm interested in being a volunteer moderator. How's the finger? Well, Dale, it's interesting you asked. I don't know if you guys knew this, but so this thing's been broken since December. So a lot of you saw my brace that I was wearing. I finally had surgery on it. It'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. So now it's all wrapped up and crazy and hurts, but I hope it's getting better. They put some pins in it. So finally I was like, it's not healing. It's got worse. So they were like, yeah, let's do surgery. So that was 2 weeks ago. So I had surgery 2 weeks ago on it. Okay. I was looking at my notes and I was trying to see if there was something. I was trying to see if there was another thing that I was going to say. I lost my train of thought. The spammers got me. That's definitely one of the things they can do sometimes. Plus, it's like lunchtime and I need to eat. Remember that one time I had someone bring me a sandwich while I was live? Sometimes you got to do those things. I was talking about branding. I was saying that is definitely one of the bigger things that we evolved over time. As far as that, we try to use as many of the features that StreamYard offers when we do our show. The countdown timer, for example, we didn't have that at first. Now we have our own countdown timer. Every time I go live, I start with the thumbnail and I play a little background music, and then we do the thing. We didn't used to require or ask people. We didn't used to ask people to put a Q in front of their question. That was something that we kind of came about with later. That's a really good tactic if you have a lot of live viewers. So if you have a really small show as you're starting out, you may not need to ask your audience to do that. But I personally, anytime we're doing something like this, I try to ask everyone to basically put a Q in front of the question because that helps me see it. So it helps me see the questions in the middle of all the comments. I love all the comments. But the problem is that if you're hosting a Q&A show or a question and answer, then you need to find those questions. And sometimes you can miss them. And it's very, very easy to miss them when you have a lot of comments. So that is definitely something that we do as well. Speaking of, is countdown timer a must for live streams? No, it's not a must. But if you are multi-streaming, it's highly recommended. I like a good countdown timer because, to be honest with you, I personally think that it's a great way to just give yourself kind of a kickoff to avoid the awkwardness of when you click go live and you're like, oh, we're live. Okay. Which happens a lot because you don't know if you're live. You're waiting for that thing to stop swirling and say you're live. And even when it says you're live, you may not actually be live yet on the platform. So it's kind of one of those things that I personally do recommend and I like. But if you are multi-streaming, I definitely recommend it for sure. Yeah, you were comparing the thumbnails before the spammer. I know. I think I was talking about how the thumbnails used to not have a face on them. And then I said, let's have a face. And then the thumbnails are just much better. We also try to do a different thumbnail for every show, even though the show is a reoccurring show. But sometimes we aren't prepped quite in advance for that. Oh, I do remember what I was going to say. what I was going to say was we now try to plan and batch. You can't batch the actual live stream itself, but you can batch the plan. You can be, all right, so today we're on episode 50. We can plan out the next 4 episodes, actually go ahead and write the title, write the description, and then Christian can actually get with the designer and have the designer create the thumbnails. That is the way to go. I will tell you, Christian and I try really hard to do that. Sometimes we're good at it and sometimes we don't. We're not. Sometimes we get busy, and I'd say it's probably my fault more than it is his, and we aren't able to quite batch that pre-planned stuff. If you can, though, it will make everything so much better. You will truly know you have a good custom thumbnail for every single weekly show. Again, even though your show might be the same kind of theme, meaning live Q&A around a topic, having a unique thumbnail cater to the topic is definitely going to help it perform better. That is definitely something. So the batching, we always used Asana, but we've gotten better about how we use it. And Christian and I try to meet regularly and just go through, decide what the episodes are going to be. And then he kind of takes it and gets the designer to create. So yes, batching is definitely beautiful for sure. Let's see. Yeah, so Aussie K-pop Mum TV. My panel loves the chill countdown timer. We all groove out in the back and wait for our friends to arrive. I mean, I do think that you can definitely use that countdown timer also to just get yourself ready. When you click go live, not everyone's going to be there yet. It's going to take some time to get people there. And definitely it's going to, you just have to kind of sometimes give yourself the time for that. Yeah. Oh, cool. So Canoe Hound Adventures was talking about the queue thing. 100 to 300 viewers live. That's a lot. Yeah, you definitely want to have the queue or something in there so that you can find those questions in the middle of the show. That, like I said, that was not something we did at first. Certainly is something that we do now. So, okay, so Morjana says, every week I receive guests on one of my channels and I try to always have the thumbnail and the descriptions 2 weeks in advance. I totally think that that's definitely a great strategy. I will also say this, that if you have a guest on your show, I 100% recommend that you put their picture in the thumbnail as well, especially put them with you and put them yourself and your guest on there, or just your guest. I definitely think that this is huge. I also know that your guest is going to appreciate being showcased that way. And you want your guest to have a good experience. You want them to feel that them volunteering their time was worthwhile for them. And so when you can take that extra, you can do that extra thing, it's definitely going to be cute, huge. Let's see here. Yeah, so some of you are asking about when you use a countdown timer, do you find that it affects the playbacks after the live stream using a timer as opposed to a stinger type of intro? Okay, so I have dabbled with this. I've tried trimming the video, removing the countdown timer, which also removes your live comments. I have also tried doing the short countdown versus the longer countdown. Does it really make a difference? There are definitely analysts that have 100% done the studies. They've studied enough metrics to say that shorter the countdown is going to help your replay. I've seen people do cool tactics where they say, they literally will say, hey, we're getting ready to get kicked off, blah, blah, blah. If you're watching the replay and you want to skip the announcements to get right to the good stuff, then down below, click on the chapter marker and they'll tell people to do that. And then all they have to do is click that button and it will go ahead and let them fast forward. So I do think if you are going to leave your countdown in for various reasons, that it's good to have chapter markers to help people skip that beginning, because the countdown is people will scroll past it, but it is kind of annoying and they do sometimes get annoyed by it and they bounce. The other thing is to do an engaging countdown. You can actually use your countdown to start gathering comments, to start getting people to post questions, and the live viewers aren't going to hate it. I actually like to play music during my countdown. I'm seen on screen. I do a transparency because I use OBS with StreamYard, and I'm able to do that in OBS where I'm actually on screen dancing and kind of just getting ready for the stream. I don't think I think that's more engaging than just a basic countdown. So it's kind of one of those things for sure. So, but there are definitely a lot of opinions about it all across the board, to be honest with you, when it comes to that. So, yeah. Okay, my friends. So here is the deal. I wanted to talk about this topic today because today we celebrated our 50th episode, the very first episode, I was actually going to go back and look and see. It was Kevin Colby did the first episode. It was on April 14th last year. And it was, when is the best time to live stream? That was the first topic, which was super fun. And he kind of kicked the show off with the first couple episodes. And then we started doing every other episodes for a few months. But we have been live with this show consistently ever since it started back in April of last year. And it's been awesome. And I really appreciate all of you that come back every week, week after week. We will, of course, be back next week at 11 a.m. Eastern time. But I wanted to just give these quick tips about how to really get results with your live videos and how long does it take. And the point is that it's going to take time, but it can be sped up if you use some tactics. And one of the tactics was be consistent. Be consistent and be frequent. Now, I'm going to actually change this. Be consistent and how about this? Intentionally frequent. How about that? Because we kind of we gave some different scenarios about whether you should be live weekly versus monthly versus bi-monthly, whatever, right? And so be thoughtful of your channel. How can live videos support your channel? And live videos are great for building relationships, truly. If you have other content out there, live video is going to help you build a relationship with your audience. The other content is going to keep your audience going, get them educated, also bring new audience members to you. So be thoughtful, but be consistent and be intentionally frequent with it. Use other platforms and communication methods to drive traffic to your live videos, meaning send an email to your list, talk about it on Instagram, get on TikTok, talk about your YouTube channel, drive traffic to your live video home base. Where do you want them tuning in so that you can build the relationship? When you build the relationship, that momentum is going to speed up. That's huge. Optimize the replay experience for your live videos. Now, we didn't talk about this in detail. We talked a little bit about it with that countdown timer. But really what I'm talking about is if you want people to see that you are live and you want them to be like, oh, I want to tune in next time, then optimize your viewing experience. What I mean by that is if you're in a Facebook group, create a guide inside that Facebook group so that they can go find your past live streams. If you're on YouTube, make sure you have playlists catered to these live streams so that when they land on your channel, they can see, oh, sweet, they're live every week for this Ask StreamYard show. I'm going to subscribe. Oh, and it looks like it's every week at 11 a.m. Cool. So optimize that, meaning make it easy for people to see that you are live when you're live, and so that they can watch those replays and then decide, hey, I'm going to come back for more, right? The other thing is that you want to keep your live videos relevant to what your audience cares about. So don't just go live to be rambling and to try to get views and all the things. Actually be focused and intentional. I talked about how what we did for this show is that we started researching in our Facebook community as well as out there on Twitter and other places, what questions were our users asking? What questions were people asking about live video, about StreamYard, the application, the platform? And we said, let's make a show. And so we planned and we took those questions, and we especially found the questions that were less support oriented and more like deep dive content strategy, as I used to say, juicy, right? We found the juicy ones and we turned those into a show. And so we started planning. And so we know that you care about this particular content because you're literally asking the questions. So you need to make sure you do your research and make sure that your live videos are relevant to what they care about. And then the last thing I really wanted to say is that you have to stick with it. Like with any marketing tactic, anything at all, 100%, you are not going to have instant success, overnight results. Now, if you have a large channel, a large following already, and you launch a live video strategy, you're probably going to have pretty quick results. But most people, that's not the case, right? Most people, you're getting started, you're building it up, you're getting going, you're still figuring things out. Maybe you're trying something new. And you have to give it time. What I don't want to see is what I see very often. I see so often that people start it and then they bounce. They do it for like a month and that's it. And they don't do it anymore. It does take time. We are a year into this particular show. StreamYard is multiple years into streaming on their platforms, right? Multiple years into streaming on their platforms. And we are still learning things. We are still experimenting. We are still finding the ways. We are still figuring out what you all need and what you want, right? And so give it time. The other thing about giving it time is that there's going to be new things that come about, like new features, new things. So when you get started, maybe your live videos were just you talking into your phone, which is how it was for me. But now I can go live, I can share my screen, I can do all kinds of things. And when you stick with it, You're right there with the technology. You get to keep going, and you literally get to just layer those things in. When you leave something for a while, it's really hard to fire it back up. So maybe you were like, whoa, StreamYard has a bonus camera now. I can add a second camera. Oh, I need to get back to live videos. Well, there's a lot for you to learn. There's a lot for you to get it. It's really hard to fire up the engines again. It is hard with anything marketing. It's hard with anything in life. Have you ever been consistent with working out and then you stopped working out for 6 months? It is hard to get going again. And so sticking with it will make sure you stay relevant and you stay in it, and you can layer in and up level as you go. So I definitely wanted to point that out for sure, as well, is that you have to stick with it. So it does take time. How long it takes for you is going to depend on how much focus, how much intention, and how consistent you are, but also your unique niche, as well as where you are when in your marketing. If you've been doing this for years and you have a big audience, you're probably going to have faster results than somebody who literally is launching their channel just now and just getting started and figuring it out, and they have 10 followers, right? It's going to take that person a little longer. But remember, the people who have the big channels, they started out, they had 10 followers once too, right? And so I guarantee any of those people who have big channels, have successful businesses, they will say the same thing. They will say, it wasn't always that way. It wasn't always like this. I didn't always have hundreds of people tuning in live. I remember when I had 2 people tuning in live. I remember when I had 2 people tuning in live to my shows, right? And so just stick with it. You have to keep going, which is really the case with anything marketing, business, or anything at all. So, all right, my friends, I am going to get out of here. I got to get going. I got another meeting. It's getting ready to start. But remember, we are back next week for another live show. Next week, I'm actually talking about different layouts for when you have guests. So how to actually navigate different layouts, how to actually have a good show with guests so it's not just boring and just you and your guests on screen in the exact same view the whole time. We're going to talk about some things and ways you can use the different layout options in StreamYard, as well as overlays when it comes to having guests in your screen. So in your stream. So that's what next week's show is about. So definitely wanted to give a shout out to all y'all that were here and hung out with us the whole time. I see a lot of faces, a lot of names that are still here. So thank you for tuning in and being here. And of course, thank you for all of the people that come back every week after week after week. So I'll see you guys next week when we are live again, talking about, as I mentioned, the good old, the layouts for guests. So, all right, everybody, have a good one. I'll see you later.